Hey everyone, and welcome back to Master Site. Today we have Game 3 of the Kansas City GT, where I will be facing off against Stephen DeRose and his Basileans, whatever you want to call them, however we want to pronounce it. So Stephen and I are longtime competitors. He's out of Iowa, Des Moines. I'm trying to remember last time we played. I don't know if I have any games on the channel with him, so it's been a little bit. But Steven's always one of our top performers here in the mountain region. He's made our Masters team for several years, and I think he's made it every year that travel would allow him to do so. So this is table one, and yeah, it's going to be a good one. So let's go ahead, dive into his unique Basilean list, and we'll go into the game. So to start off, Stephen has a horde of men-at-arms spearmen. He has two hordes of swordsmen. He has two hordes of ogre palace guard, one with dwarven ale, the other with the staying stone. He has two Gur Panthers. He has a Paladin Knight Regiment with Aegis Fragment and J-Boots. He has three Ogre Palace Guard Captains because they're amazing. He has Naeus with Heal 4, and he has a Dragon with Aegis Fragment and Heal 4 as well. Bringing him to 13 drops, 29 unit strength. So good amount of unit strength, kind of lower on the drop side though. So um, yeah, I think this is honestly a pretty decent matchup for us going into the game. The spearman unit is going to be a little bit tough for our units to bust open in the front, but we'll just aim for flank charges and we'll simply charge anything else in the front, whether it's swordsmen, palace guard, knights. We'll try to hit anything else. So um, yeah, so we are set for a pretty good matchup, but I think we have a little bit of upper hand in the list matchup anyway. So here is Steven, and here is our deployment. So we are playing Salt the Earth. So Salt the Earth is simply pillage, but you can burn the tokens. The center token cannot be burned though. If the tokens burn, nobody can score it. Any unburnt tokens are then scored at the end of the game. So yeah, with this, the tokens are on the left here in the center. There are two, one in the left center, one in the right center. One here and one there. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I believe there is one under this horde of scarecrows for 7. So, yeah, terrain wise, we have 3 impassable buildings, one top left, top right, bottom right. We have 2 hills, far left, far right. Obstacles are the same, far left, far right. There is a forest here on bottom left and top right, and then there is a flat pond in the center. Yeah. So, deployment, we have Steven put Dragon Lord, a Ogre Horde out here, and then a horde of men at arms. His units have buildings as part of their basing, so this is the part of the unit. In the center, he has 2 of his ogre captains, ogre horde in the back, and these are the spearmen here. On the far right, he has the knights, Gur Panther, ogre captain Naeus, a horde of men at arms, and the other Gur Panther troop. So, yeah, you can burn these tokens starting top of turn 1. So I'm really hoping that I get first turn. Otherwise, he's going to easily be able to burn a couple of these tokens out here that I would like to have. So this one's in threat range because Gur Panthers have Pathfinder, and then this one is obviously in range 2 for this Gur Panther unit. If I get first turn, though, I can move up just behind the hill, still be in range 3 inches, and it's going to be much more difficult for him to get enough unit strength on there after that. So rest of my deployment here, I put Blade of Slashing Dreadfiend out on the left. Portal is out here too, angled to run past that obstacle. A horde of scarecrows, Tormentor Troop, Soul Flares. I believe this is Helm of the Drunken Ram. Sounds right. Or maybe that's Blood of the Old King. One of the two. Another Soul Flare unit in the forest here because he doesn't have offensive shooting. I can actually deploy them somewhat more aggressively. A Horde sitting on that token. Butcher Flesh Ripper. I put the regiment here, angle to go past the pond. Another troop of tormentors directly behind them. Both of my Mind Screeches in a position to shoot off his chaff if I get first turn. Butcher Flesh Ripper, who's going to run through them and get in a position over kind of behind this hill. On the far right, we did get to squeeze a horde, a Dread Fiend with the Trickster's Wand, which he has a couple units with heal, but I mean, it's nice. I'm going to cast it because if I do some wounds, they stick, then he could cast heal. I'll hex him to try to avoid that. And then the last Soul Flare unit with J Boots out here, I believe, and a Tormentor troop. So, roll off for first turn is very important, as I discussed, and I did get that roll successfully. So, putting Steven on the back foot because of that, and able to secure 2 more tokens. So I have the left, the center, the right, and the far right, and I even have the middle, or have a good option to contest and play for the middle. Um, Obviously, these are only scored at the end of the game, but essentially, I have 5 of the tokens well within my grasp, and he only has the 2 in his center. So he's going to have to come to me now. This game is just got a lot easier because of that. If he went first, he eliminates 2 of the 5 that I hold. And then all he has to do is play for the 2 that he has here and the center one. It's a much more difficult game for me at that point. So, yeah, I move forward. I shoot. I do some wind blast, I believe, on an ogre palace guard captain here, and then lightning bolt ended up lifting the troop of uh, dogs, or what are they? Gur panthers. They're not dogs. They're cats. Panthers. So, yep, that's great. Take off a unit turn 1. Excellent. So going right into Steven's turn 1, he understands the assignment. He's got to go push forward a little bit, but I think he also understands that the right flank I've overloaded heavily, and if I'm able to take off one of his chaff units right away, it really doesn't leave him an option to contest out here. So he is starting the evacuation plan, starting to move stuff in towards the center, just slowly uh, overlooking out here, but he is not pushing forward. But he is pushing forward on the left and in the center, as you can see, and positioning himself in such a way that he can get charges after something connects with his unit. Because of this Dread Fiend's position, he does have to keep the dragon in a defensive position to make sure I can't get around his lines, because that would be awful for him if I did. Yeah. And the center's pretty straightforward. He just backs up the dogs in such a way and puts his nose in the forest with his cav that have J boots. And then his other stuff's just kind of sidestepping and hiding. So this is my turn 2. And yeah, we'll go through it here. So On the left, he gave me a horde. I'm just doing basic math. I'm counting numbers. He has 3 units. I have one, two, three, four, 5 units that were out here. I am rerouting this Dread Fiend over in towards the center currently. Um, but yeah, since I have the numbers advantage and he's giving me the ability to charge this horde on my turns, I feel I don't know if it's 100% confident, but I feel pretty confident that I can, at the very least, get a waiver on this horde. And if I get lucky, I can likely break the horde. I'll throw some furious charge over here with this troop, and really they'll put a dent on a horde of infantry. But yeah, so my goal is just to start the combats over here because I feel like I have the advantage when it comes to numbers. In the center, I don't have the numbers advantage currently, but because of how he's playing passively on the right, I'm redirecting units from this flank into the center. So I played aggressively with a um, what's called regiment and butcher here. I believe this is the Helm of the Drunken Ram unit into him. So ogre palace guard. I know they're very difficult, but to lift, but in this position, I felt comfortable because the only thing I'm really exposing is the flank of a butcher. And I'm not sad if I lose the butcher. I really want to at least waiver this unit, ideally kill and get a good reform afterwards. But if I don't get the kill, then I'm not at a huge risk. So and then I'm positioning in such a way with Tormentor Troop and this Butcher Flesh Ripper that if he comes into the Scarecrows, I will have flanks and I will expose him for that. But you may look and you might be like, well, Adam, look, that Cav unit's just going to hit you in the flank and you won't have anything there. Well, that's what Wind Blast is for. Stephen made a simple mistake of not having anything blocking this unit from being pushed backwards. All it takes for me to get is a single inch on the wind blast, and it's out of the forest. He can no longer see me. These units over here are behind the forest, so they can't see either. So we're in a position to kind of exploit that and really put Steven on the back foot. Another thing that we're doing here is this Mind Screech being height 4. You can notice there's a little gap between the forest and the impassable piece here. I do have an exact line of sight to see this uh, unit, the Gur Panther units. So yeah, we're gonna take a shot at it, assuming that we get the wind blast to go off successfully with our first one, which I believe I put this unit just in range to be able to do it by themselves, and then I'll have 2 lightning bolts to shoot over there if that's works. And then otherwise, we're just kind of pushing forward, securing our position of these 2 tokens out here. Yeah, if he wants to come out and play, we still have plenty of units. If he wants to stay back there, I'm fine with that. We got the tokens. So, and our wind blast was successful. And you know what else is successful? The lightning bolts. I think we put 3 wounds on him, and we rolled the 8 twice that we needed, and we picked it up. Sometimes just better lucky than good. If you roll good nerve rolls, you're just going to be good at this game. That is as simple as it gets sometimes. So we executed perfectly on this flank. Both chaff units are gone, and we're already rerouting and going to beat him towards the center of the board over here. And if he wants to push forward straight, more power to him. We got plenty of units out here, especially since we've eliminated the chaff. So another good roll is just kill the hordes of infantry when you hit them, and that's what we did. We killed this horde of infantry. I did back up slightly with the troop and everything else, or I think I ran forward with the horde in such a position. Yeah, and that's where we ended up. So this is how the board looks because you know what, can't complain about a bad roll when we had a couple of good rolls before it, but we did not kill or waver this ogre palace guard captain, um, which I should know. They're basically a butcher flesh ripper. People bounce off those things all the time, so it is what it is. Yeah, and that is how we look going into bottom of turn two. You'll notice I did leave back a Soul Flare unit to Overwatch. I don't want his dragon jumping my lines. He's still in plenty of range to contest up here. I just need that dragon to be locked down before I go in with everything. And then we're activating a pincer on both sides. Dreadfiend coming in here. Uh, yeah, the Tormentor troop, the Butcher Flesh Ripper, we're just gonna come on in and we're gonna come on in hard. And ideally, we're just gonna bust through the lines. Like I said, this is a great start for us. We killed 3 of his 13 units, so Steven only has 10 units left, and it's that was turn 2. So yeah, really, really strong opening. I think I'm in a very dominant position at this point. So I'm simply looking at uh, how do we maximize the win for this game at this point. So this is Steven's turn to movement. On the left, he brought the dragon into the Tormentor troop, as you do. He brought the horde into my horde. He countercharged. Yeah, he countercharged. We can't see the ogre captain, but countercharged the ogre captain into the front here. He did some good movement with this captain in such a way that he could push or force this horde over further, which allowed for enough room to hit the flank of my butcher flesh ripper with his horde here. And then he completely abandoned the right flank. Everybody's turning in. The Palace Guard captain moved turn, so he's looking through this gap. He doesn't want me to expose that again. Naeus is looking out to the right, so if I end up trying to go into the horde of infantry here, he has a little something to answer. But yeah, that infantry horde just backed up. Um, yeah, so I'm fairly happy with that. He did bring the horde, and this is the spearman horde into my horde here, which I believe I'm gonna stay alive there. And then I have a double flank coming his way and a counter charge in the front even. So I feel very confident, and that was a spearman horde that I was gonna be worried about trying to take out this game. So I think we're in a good position and really forcing Steven to make some choices that he doesn't want to make. So combat, his dragon did kill the troop and then sidestep to be directly in front of the portal. Didn't want to take any flanks, and then this also, there's nothing else that can charge him. He did do quite a bit of wounds, 10 or 12 wounds into the horde, but it stuck around. He did enough over here, a couple wounds, just locked it down, killed the butcher, overran uh, into that position there. Did not kill the horde though, so this is a really bad picture, but you can see what's coming. It's exactly what we've been setting up. So we're going to expose it. And we're all in on this turn here on the left and the center. So left, Portal's just going to keep going 1v1 versus the dragon here. It's kind of nice that the Portal is a Titan, height 6. So even if I fail to wound the dragon, he's still going to have to do like a withdraw move to be able to see anything. Um, but likely, if I fail to do a wound, he'll just probably fly over. But yeah, 5 attacks. It's not no crushing or thunders. It's really not great odds, but we'll take them. And then we got Helm of the Drunken Ram. I got enough dice for Furious Charge, so we got Furious Charge, Helm of the Drunken Ram, and another Horde supporting here. I like our odds. This Blood of the Old King plus Furious Charge, or not. I said Helm of the Drunken Ram. I meant Blood of the Old King with that one. This is the Helm of the Drunken Ram unit this game. So yeah, Blood of the Old King hitting on twos with elite with the Furious Chart, like it's just disgusting. Like we're gonna do a ton of wounds here, and it's crazy. We countercharged there. We were able to pull off the double flank and front, which made room for the Dread Fiend that was coming from the left to hit the flank of this ogre right here. So yeah, definitely like the position we're in with that. So our Mind Screeches are repositioning. The only thing out of combat is these ogres, so we'll take some shots at them. Why the hell not? And then everybody else from the right says, "Oh, you're going to evacuate to the center? We'll meet you there." I'm still keeping a couple units to keep him honest. He could easily get the Ogre Palace Guard and Naeus over here, and he could be annoying more than anything. I don't expect him to do enough to kill anything, but we're keeping the troop just in case. Over on the left, look at that. We did 14 wounds, and you know what our trouble was last game? Snake Eyes. You know what our trouble is here? Snake Eyes. So we rolled Snake Eyes. Yeah, I mean it was a three twice to kill. Just as simple as that. Um, you know, drew it up exactly how we wanted it. Followed through with the wounding. Nerve dice just said, "Nah, we're not gonna comply today." So unfortunate, but it is what it is. We did do a wound to the dragon, which with Iron Resolve, he's none of it sticking, but it forces him to stay fighting over here anyway. Yeah, you know what else we did is we rolled atrocious here. I mean, we got him up to 10 wounds. We need a 5 twice to kill him. I think we roll or no, with Dread, we need a 4 twice to kill him. We roll a 3. So we get a waiver. Yay. But, yep, the bad nerve rolls are coming back to bite us. Got this guy up to 8 wounds, which was extremely good. Love that. But I don't think we got a waiver on this guy either. So, or we did get a waiver on this guy. Yeah. So again here that's the 6 twice, which that's only like 50-50 odds, but we didn't get anything this turn. Granted, we got everything we kind of wanted the turns before this, but let me complain about the bad dice that just happened to me instead of reminisce about the good dice I've had before. And that was everything. I think our shooting did a little bit, like 3 wounds or so to that guy, but realistically, our Mind Screeches are just taking some shots as they're going to sit on their tokens. My idea is that one of these guys will come sit on this token, the other one will come towards the center. I don't think there's enough time for them to get to the far left, but my hope is that I'll win the left flank. And if I killed that ogre unit, I feel like I definitely won the left flank. And then somebody like this horde of scarecrows would just turn around and walk back to this token, starting on turn 4. But yeah, we're delayed due to bad nerve rolls. So this is Steven's bottom of 3, and we're engaging in the center. So on the left, he goes for the counter charge into the soul flares. Yeah, I think that's enough that he needs to kill him. He could have withdrawn and hit the flank with the dragon, but yeah, he's starting to fight the portal of despair this turn here. So yeah, and then in the center, he was able to he just withdrew and position, but he was able to charge the front with the other horde here. Made enough room where the cab was able to squeeze in here. He had to spend some command dice to allow for his ogre that was wavered to do a full back, even while being wavered. So he positioned in that way, and then he's just bringing around. Let's see here. It was Naeus is back here on that token, and the other Palace Guard guy is coming in to say hello as well. And then his horde started walking because, I mean, I wasn't going to threaten him out there. Just, it just didn't really make sense. I was more focused on, well, we got these tokens. That's the only thing worth fighting for over here. So he's making his way to the center so that he can hold the token with that horde. So combats his knights roll pretty awful. Only did 7 wounds to the Dread Fiend, but did get a waiver. Uh, he did lift the soul flares there. But you know what he didn't do is he didn't kill the soul flares out here, which was unexpected. So I guess you you give a snake eyes, you get a low roll back. I'll take it. It was not what was expected, but yeah, we got some hope back on the left flank because if that unit dies, then we probably kill the palace guard with the horde of scarecrows, but then we probably don't make it back to the token unless his dragon just goes running off and does nothing. So we got a saving grace over here to keep those soul flares alive. That's really the only thing that could threaten this dragon. But we needed them to threaten the dragon this last turn or this turn coming up by exposing the flank. Yeah, so our left flank is not going as planned, but we still have life because he failed to kill us. So we go ahead and go back in with both these units here. And then we charge over here. So just sticking on the tokens with both of these. The Soul Flare, I was overloading the center, I felt like. So I went ahead and put the Soul Flares around this side of the building. I'm going to Wind Blast here. Nothing's looking towards me, so I can, if he wants to keep stuff back and holding the tokens, I can threaten to charge him at the very least, was my thought at this point. The horde, uh, it, I don't know exactly why I have the horde there like that. I think it was one of those where I backed up in order to make some room, I think, more than anything. So we got Tormentors in the rear. He's wavered, but applying Dread. We got Butcher in the rear, and then these other guys are just setting up to, do the same thing the next turn. We've had 2 waves of of units coming in for flanks over here, and now we're getting rears, and so yeah, again, we're in a very good position. We're really threatening. Our Mind Screeches are in such a position where we can do a 1 wound lightning bolt puts us to snake eyes on this guy over here. So if we fail the first lightning bolt, we'll just cast Mind Fog on the second one. So yeah, and we wind blasted successfully. We successfully Mind Fog slash shot. And these guys are up to 4 wounds now. Yeah, but you know what? I killed the ogres on the left, and this is how the horde was positioned afterwards. Killed the ogres on the left. Did a wound again with the portal of despair onto the dragon. So, yay, he's stuck again. That's exactly where we want him now. I ended up backing up the soul flares, so his dragon didn't have a flank charge on us if he did a withdraw. So it is a front charge now, but he would take the withdraw penalty. Actually, I think it's still a flank because I only backed up 1 inch. So yeah, I think mathematically it's still a flank. So he can't do a withdraw charge the soul flares, which is awesome for us. But you can see in the middle, we kind of failed. We killed the captain, but our rear charge with these guys did not do enough. And I think I didn't get enough dice for the furious charge. Otherwise, I absolutely would have been hitting on 2s in a rear because why the hell wouldn't you? So yeah, 36 dice, hitting on 3s, wounding on 4s. So I think this was same math that we had in the previous game, but this is just a rear. So it comes out to 24 hits on average, and then it should be 12 wounds, 13 with the dread. These are only a 15, 17 knights. So I need a 4 twice, but yeah, failed to do it here. I think I got a waiver for them, but they passed their headstrong and they countercharged the troop here. So yeah, this is how we're looking. He charges back into the big boy. He had him up to, he did like 7 wounds the last turn, which is about average for the dragon. But I radiance the life and I life leech, so I'm down to 5 wounds now. So a dash 16 already has 5 wounds on him. On average, he should put another 7 wounds out there, so he needs a 4 twice to kill it with the dragon. So it's yeah, but if he didn't really have a good option outside of that because again, just a 1 inch pivot or 1 inch back was enough to put it to where he can't flank us. So. But in the center, he can flank a Dread Fiend, so he did. He also took a rear, I think, as well as the countercharge with the Knights, which makes sense. The Knights lost Thunderous, so he puts Naeus in the rear. That was the only legal charge Naeus had at that point, so why the hell not? Big news over here, guys. Remember how I had 5 wounds on me? Well, I'm up to 9 now. He whiffed with the dragon. The funny thing is, he hit 9 times. He just rolled 5 1s to wound. Um, and yeah, it was he put a blade of slashing on it for 1 command dice out here. So yeah, 9 hits and only 4 wounds. Wounding on 2s is rough. So yeah, feel bad for Steven. This flank is all sorts of fucked up when it comes to the math and the averages on both sides. Things were not happening the way they should either direction. So yeah, with that, I feel like we've essentially won the left flank, unless the dice keep going fucking crazy. He killed the Dread Fiend, and he actually ended up looking towards the left over here. You see my horde over here. I think his reasoning is that these knights are going to be in the way. They only have 8 wounds on them. I really whiffed that roll. So these knights are in the way. He can't really see anything, and after these knights and Naeus kill this troop, he can position in such a way that nothing can connect with the charge there. So, um, yeah. So I think this is a mistake. Steven's looking out to the left when he should be looking to the right. Realistically, as well, out to the left, there's no tokens out there. The only token is back in my deployment zone on the left hand side. So yeah, you're not really accomplishing anything that way. So, but he does kill the troop, does the reform. Naeus looking this way. Yes, he had a flank charge onto this horde, which is damaged from when he charged with his horde of spears. He did kill that, so that was one that may have been a mistake on my part. I'm not exactly sure what I was thinking with that positioning, but uh, yeah, it died. So, um, and this is what it looks like going into turn 5. And this is what we do. So we do end up hitting the flank with the soul flares back in the front. We could not logistically position and fit the horde and the regiment, so we had to do just one or the other. But I did run the horde forward so that we were out of 12 inches of these guys, so there was nothing that these guys were going to accomplish this turn looking to the left flank. In the center, I end up charging this horde with my soul flares. Realistically, looking at it, my whole goal was to just keep them off the token that's sitting just behind this building. I probably could have accomplished that by just maintaining status quo, kind of sitting back and just doing a wind blast on them. Because the odds of soul flares doing enough to a horde of infantry that's undamaged at this point, and I have no support going there, is unrealistic to say the least. So yeah, I think there was a better play, better option there. But yeah, we're charging. Maybe, who knows? We get 10 wounds, 12 wounds. We could do that. We got 12 dice to roll. So um, yeah, but our furious charge is being saved for Mr. Dragon and the flank charge to Mr. Dragon. So why not? And in the center, we can see that I double charged the captain, which we got Strider there, and I single charged Naeus more than anything was to kind of block him up, force him to do a withdraw if he wanted to see um, the Dread Fiend anyway. So yeah, realistically, I was just looking. I'm like, well, my lightning bolts and mind fog could just waver this unit, and so that was kind of my goal: was waver, potentially kill the knights, and then just block up everybody else. Shooting does work for us. We kill the knights, and yeah, it would be really scary if these ogres were facing towards these guys, but they're not. So, and there we go. We one shot the dragon with the flank. Furious charge on the flank. It's just stupid dice, stupid numbers. I mean, we hit, 21 times or 20 times, and then we're wounding on threes. So we're doing 13, 14 wounds in a flank. We got dread. So you're up to 15 already. If this guy does one wound, you're on snake eyes. So it's silly. It's really silly. But yeah, this is how it ends up. We don't do anything else in the middle with the combats. We don't do enough up there. So our reform. So he ends up moving his ogres back towards the token here because it's bottom of 5. He's protected behind the building. Naeus did do a withdraw, charge the rear of the Dread Fiend, and then he countercharged the Soul Flares here because, again, I didn't do enough to the Ogre's Captain. Yeah, Ogre Captains, Butcher Flesh Rippers, the Snow Troll Primes, like these guys are just so good. Um, they're so good that you should always take as many as you can, in my opinion. But yeah, so this is how it looks after his turn 5. We're really just kind of, and my turn 6 movement already. So I wasn't able to really get anywhere, do anything with this unit. So my thought is these ogre guys are already wounded. They have 4 or 5 wounds on them right now. I have a flank charge from the butcher, rear charge from these guys. Um, I'm hoping maybe for a waiver. This is the headstrong unit though, so I'm hoping for a waiver, and then, or if I get a kill, then I can just hop the building with this unit to control that token, and then I can use the other 2 guys over here. I did do. I think I repositioned this, but I got wavered from Naeus getting a rear charge, but I believe the troop was fine. Yeah, so this is positioning. We did kill the palace or captain. And this is where we position, so that way I could get dread over here. Yeah. So we are. This is how we're looking for bottom of 6. We failed to kill there. We got a waiver actually. And then one thing I did over here again, I misplayed this one pretty bad. I shouldn't have even been charging over there. I only took 1 wound in return last turn, or maybe it was 2, and I spent a dice to heal them this turn. So I'm only on 1 wound with these soul flares, and I backed up in such a way that I'm controlling the token, and if he charges me, he's still outside of 3 inches. Um, so my hope or idea is that I can take 1 charge from these infantry because they failed so miserably last turn that I can survive, and then I'll just control the token on turn 6. And then my other hope was, well, if I kill this unit, I can turn and look that way with my other units. So, um, Yeah, so that was what I was thinking, but math actually says otherwise. So always do your math beforehand. As you can see, I got them up to 11. They were dread, so 12 just needed a 5 twice. Was so close, but I can't kill ogre hordes, apparently. So bottom six, this is how it looks. Not much left. On the left, I forgot to mention, but the portal was in a position to just at the double get this token. So we have all of our tokens secure. The four were on this one in the middle. The Dread Fiend had to move in such a way though that it was not able to get in range of the token and provide Dread. And I felt like the Dread was more important of those options. So turn six, Steven. Bad picture, but Steven opted to charge the Dread Fiend. He was still in range to contest the center token, so he took that. Um, he charged the Soul Flares there. He, I think, countercharges the Butcher. No, he countercharged this guy. But anyway, um, yeah, because the butcher he may not kill the butcher. I mean, as we've seen, captains, butchers, they're all unlikely to die. It feels like, but he kills the dread fiend. He kills the mind screech. He kills the regiment. And the main reason he killed the regiment is because I forgot about one of his command orders that hadn't been used all game, but he can give a unit thunderous charge that has the human keyword. So he did that here, and yeah, looking back at it, it's like, yeah, that was just a bad play. I should have, once I committed to the combat, I should have stuck there. If I keep fighting him, back here, if he kills me, he needs like a 5 or a 6 on the overrun to get to the token. Um, and it's very, it's possible that I just get a waiver on him as well. So just poor decision making as a whole on that whole conflict. So. And turn seven roll, there is no turn seven. So this is how the game ends. I have the four that I was banking on. The middle one is contested, and Steven did hold his two that were on his side. So surprisingly, in Salt the Earth, none of the tokens were burned. Um, I was probably a little bit too greedy. I had several chances where I could have burned the two tokens on his side in the center here, but chose not to because I felt I was winning the game and wanted to maximize points. Um, so looking back, I don't think burning the tokens was a regret. I think a couple of the movement decisions that I made and combats that I chose to fight were more of the regrets. And I think keeping those tokens alive, I think that plays out in my benefit if I get a couple of those close kills where I need the 4 twice, the 5 twice, things like that. So ultimately, uh, looking back, like I had said on turn two, top of two, looking at the game, looking how it was going to progress, there was really no surprises that Steven could do movement wise. We were in 100% control of the game. We had killed 3 units in 2 turns to bring him down to only 10 units left. Um, Realistically, it was our game to lose at that point, and we had a win, I would say, but I think Steven played it extremely well and capitalized on a couple of the bad nerve rolls and a couple of the poor combats that we chose in order to really fight back and make this a minor loss in the end. So 4 tokens to 2. We're only winning by 2 tokens. That's +1 on the scenario side of things. And then attrition was close enough that it was only a +1 as well. So in the end, this ended up being a 16-5 win for us. But I think, if I looked at this game on turn two and I had to guess, I would have guessed 19 or 20 points is what we were likely going to get, and we even had a possibility of a blackjack coming our way. So So really well fought by Steven, and I had to give props to him on this game, because this was one where I think a lesser general in that situation likely pushes that right flank that was a losing proposition, and probably gets tabled, and really looks like just a field of death, for our opponent at that point. So really good game, Stephen, and something as well that Stephen and I talked about after the game, that I want to bring up here as a tip or trick point. We're going to go back to deployment real quick here, but one thing that Stephen did really well was he had a very good game plan if he got first turn, right? With the ability to destroy these two tokens, and then his game plan was collapse back to the middle, and protect these two tokens, and then push out for the center token from there. So that is, a very good game plan, very reasonable, well thought out. But it does require a 50-50 dice roll of getting first turn. So realistically, what Steve and I talked about is that is a great plan, and you should absolutely set up for that. But you should always have a backup plan if your plan requires a first turn strategy. And so we discussed a couple things. One, your Gur Panthers over here could easily be behind the infantry, and the infantry be on the front line. This gives the Gur Panthers cover from the lightning bolts they're inevitably going to take. Or they could be positioned so far back that lightning bolt was impossible to be shot at them on turn one. I think that is one excellent option. Second excellent option is this left hand contingency. In my mind, I see this left hand contingency of only 3 units, and I think, good. I'm glad that Steven's spreading across the board, because this battle group has no victory in my mind. It went about as bad as I think it could have for me on the left hand side, and I still win, right? So, and there's no tokens to really fight over, because in the end, if there's anything alive, it's going to be your dragon. And if your dragon is alive and somehow, all 5 of the units that we're contesting out here are dead, the only thing the dragon's going to do is come sit on this token. So, in my mind, I would rather have seen these 3 units fortify the positions that he's already taken in the middle and in the right, because he's already said his game plan is protect these 2 tokens, push out for this one. So, I think the best way to do that is by playing the center and playing the right, understanding you're outdropped, you're outmanned, so you have to just stack the sides that you have available to you, very similar to how Mark did in the last game with his halflings. Um, just have layers effectively. So then it allows you to play much more competitively in the case that you get a turn 2 instead of turn 1. So effectively, the ogre unit probably goes out here behind this horde of infantry. The other horde of infantry probably sits in the back here, and then the dragon sits on the far flank out here. So this way, you go second, you control these two, and then you push the right flank and you fight for this one. And then, assuming you are competing on the right and you win the right, you then have enough pressure here to push towards either the center or this token, and that should be the game plan. So, just a quick little tip for everybody out there when you're looking at these games, when you're doing your own games. It's great to have a main battle plan, but a lot of those plans rely on a first turn or some contingency to happen. So have a backup idea, have an idea of, well, I can't do, in this case, I can't implement this battle plan of defending if I don't get first turn and put my opponent on the back foot by destroying tokens. So, yeah, hopefully this helped you guys. it's usually what a lot of these games that I end up playing. I talk to my opponent, and when they're really wanting insider input, this is how we kind of dissect the game afterwards. Is go back. A lot of times it's go back to deployment. It's understand your win conditions, your battle plans, and how effectively you execute them. So I think Steven executed an excellent backup plan, but ultimately it could have been a better situation for him if we made a few minor adjustments in the deployment phase. So yeah, that's enough of me yapping at you. Like I said, Steven's a great player. This was an excellent game. Really tactical, well thought. One of my favorites, probably my favorite game of the event. So appreciate you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and we'll catch you in round 4.